Welcome, gentle viewer, to the Civilian Intelligence Report for the week of 28 June 2020. Here at CivEntRep, we only cover the stories that really matter and have a substantive impact on the lives of many Americans. Here's our event rating scale. Level 1 or 2 events are not important enough to discuss. Levels 3, 4, and 5 impact a widespread portion of the U.S., whole regions, or the entire U.S. population, respectively. In order to describe how events may develop, we rate them currently and in the future. In order to describe the probability of our predictions, we give each event a letter designator based on our estimate of the probability of the event and the time we think it might take to unfold. This week we have 5 active stories: COVID-19, the economy, government action, civil unrest, and the degradation of law enforcement. COVID-19, rating 5, projection 4 Bravo. Current status. The increase in new reported cases of COVID-19 has continued the upward trend over the past week. However, as before, this increase in confirmed cases is not resulting in an increase in the death rate. This graph that shows the daily infections shows that there has been a significant increase in the past few weeks, even greater than the initial wave back in March. However, in the next graph you can see that the number of deaths has continued to decline, becoming completely uncorrelated from the infection numbers. To further show the break from correlation, 2 of the states with the biggest increases in reported cases are Florida and California. As you can see from the following graphs, there is a large increase in the number of cases in both states, but no discernible change in the death rates. This means that whatever factors are driving the increase are not contributing to the disease's lethality. These are the 2 graphs from California. You can see a pretty significant spike going up to 7,500 or so cases per day, but the death rate is completely flat. And in Florida, the spike has continued to climb, almost reaching 10,000 cases a day, but the graph of daily deaths shows no increase whatsoever. All of the data and graphs used in this analysis were obtained from the Google COVID-19 dashboard, with data sourced from Wikipedia. There are 3 possibilities that we see that could be contributing to the observed phenomena. 1, COVID-19 could be becoming less deadly. A senior Italian infectious disease expert, Dr. Matteo Bassetti, reported that while unconfirmed by studies, the clinical impression he has is that the virus is changing in severity. The second possibility, which is also good, is that testing has become much more widespread, and that many previously undetected asymptomatic cases are being captured. This is possible due to the fact that studies have been done to test for antibodies and point to the overall infection rate being 10 times higher than reported by testing. Finally, treatment options and successes have increased, thereby reducing the probability of death in severe cases. The CDC updated their guidelines regarding people with an increased risk of severe illness. They changed the guidance from being that people over 65 are high risk and made it more of a sliding scale. They say among adults, the risk for severe illness from COVID-19 increases with age, with older adults at highest risk. Severe illness means that the person with COVID-19 may require hospitalization, intensive care, or a ventilator to help them breathe, or they may even die. The CDC also warns that people with chronic kidney disease, some forms of heart disease, immune system disorders, obesity, sickle cell, or type 2 diabetes are at increased risk. Analysis. Level 5. The risk of infection and widespread economic issues continue to substantially affect most of the U.S. population. Projected effect, 4 Bravo. The results of the past few weeks do indicate that an end to this is possible. As better treatments, vaccines, testing, and risk mitigation methods are developed, our ability to return to a level of normal will improve. Uncertainties. The data coming in continues to be encouraging, as well as consistently in the direction that things are getting better. Economy, rating 3, projection 5 Charlie. Current status. One of the major measures we have been looking for with regards to the economic recovery is the number of businesses that failed during the lockdowns. According to a report by Yelp, the business review site, 140,000 businesses listed on their site, or 41% of the total, were still not open despite the lockdowns being lifted. This is concerning because while businesses that had to lay off employees can rehire them as the economy improves, employees of companies that permanently close have no place to go back to. Despite these concerns, the unemployment picture continues to improve. The number of initial claims for the past week fell by 60,000, down to 1,480,000, and the total number of people receiving unemployment fell to 19,522,000, which was a drop of 767,000. New England is seeing the fastest recovery, with the Southeast seeing the slowest. There are some concerns that the pace of recovery will slow due to consumer spending being partially driven by government stimulus, and therefore unsustainably outpacing the rise in consumer income as people get back to work. There are also continued concerns that the large-scale stimulus could have negative effects regarding inflation and the strength of the dollar. Analysis. Level 3. The negative effects of the economic downturn have been and continue to be widespread. Projected effect 5 Charlie. Delayed widespread failure due to stresses caused by the lockdown and social unrest could result in an economic decline independent from the first-order COVID-19 effects. Depending on the severity, though unlikely, it could result in a severe recession. Uncertainties. The recovery is new, and it is still unclear how much permanent damage was done to the economy or any compounding issues caused by the unrest. Government action. Rating 3. Projection 5 Charlie. Current status. President Trump responded to questions about further stimulus checks, saying that he is looking to send out a second round. Though there are many members of the Senate and Congress that do not want to spend more, further stimulus does have bipartisan support. Analysis. Level 3. Due to the support of President Trump and bipartisan agreement, this is deemed likely. Projected effect 5 Bravo. Action on this is considered likely in the next few months. If the federal government moves to distribute a new round of checks, it would elevate the event. Uncertainties. The size and method of distributing further stimulus is in question. While it is likely that more stimulus is coming, it could take many different forms and will likely have stricter requirements for qualifying. Civil unrest. Rating 3. Projection 4 Bravo. Current status. Over the past couple weeks, riots have been taking place across the country, including a new trend of attacks on memorials, statues, and other historical monuments. Over 100 historical monuments across the country have been destroyed by protesters or removed by local officials under pressure. In a more severe case, rioters in Madison, Wisconsin, pulled down several statues and attacked State Senator Tim Carpenter, sending him to the hospital. The Capitol Hill Occupied Protest, or CHOP, is in the process of being shut down after 4 shootings in the zone resulted in at least 1 death. The shutdown was a result of an agreement between the city and CHOP leadership. However, some of the protesters are not complying with the agreement and demanding more from the Seattle city government. They are declaring that they will not leave until their demands of reducing Seattle Police Department funding by 50%, funding Black communities, and freeing all protesters are met. Protests and riots have escalated in Washington, D.C. this week, including attempts to topple the statue of Andrew Jackson, located in front of the White House. Police intervened and prevented its destruction. Elsewhere in Washington, D.C., protesters are attempting to seize the area recently named Black Lives Matter Plaza by Mayor Bowser. They have named it the Black House Autonomous Zone, but have been cleared out by the police at least once. This is a developing story. Over the past week, there has been an uptick in shootings. Chicago saw over 100 people shot in the Father's Day weekend. Minneapolis has also seen an increase in shootings to the point that the city is requesting support from outside agencies. New York had 21 separate shootings last weekend as well, which is an increase of 358% over last year. Though not known to be related, a leader in the New York Black Lives Matter organization announced that the organization is establishing armed peace officers to protect them against police violence. Rioters in Atlanta have begun carrying guns, and there have been several subsequent shootings. Attorney General William Barr has established a task force intended to put a halt to, quote, violent anti-government extremists of all persuasions. He announced his intention in a memo. This comes after AG Barr announced that the DOJ is currently investigating about 500 people in connection to the recent violence. Analysis. Level 3. While it is too early to confidently say that the increase in violence is a direct result of reduced police presence, or that it is a broader trend, it is a clear spike and is severe enough to warrant an upgrade to Level 3. Projected effect 4 Bravo. While the CHOP is being disbanded, the idea of persistent protests intended to exclude police presence is still being promoted, and violence could result as protesters attempt to establish new ones. Criminals and protesters could take further advantage of the decline in police morale and presence to push legal limits, which could include violence directly or spark violent responses from locals or opposing factions. Uncertainties. Statistically insignificant spikes often happen, and the violence over the past week may merely be a spike. We'll have to wait and see over the next few weeks before a clear determination and more refined predictions can be made. Degradation of law enforcement. Rating 3, projection 4 Charlie. Current status. 8 Minneapolis police officers have resigned in the face of the declining public support and low department morale. The Georgia House voted 152-3 to pass a law allowing voters to disband their county police departments. This bill was proposed in the wake of the killing of Ahmaud Arbery and calls for the local Glenn County Police Department to be disbanded. The online activist group DDoS Secrets published a database of hacked personnel files from over 200 police departments from across the country. The data dump, titled Blue Leaks, includes personal information of specific officers, as well as police department memos and communications. Analysis. Level 3. Due to the negative impacts of the events of the past few weeks, support for the police and police morale have declined across the country. As a result, we have determined that there is an elevated risk of degraded responses to criminal activity in many parts of the country, thereby keeping it as a Level 3. Projected effect, 5 Charlie. If police continue to lose credibility among the public, and if the few cases of police being aggressively charged for conduct in the line of duty becomes a trend, it could significantly deter police from fully executing their jobs. This was observed in the wake of the Ferguson riots in Missouri in 2015. It was a pronounced enough phenomenon that it coined the phrase the Ferguson effect, which described police's degraded ability and desire to police effectively. Additionally, there are some concerns that decreased police presence could result in shipping companies being unwilling to operate in certain regions. In a poll of 3 out of 4 truckers said that they would fear for their personal safety traveling through cities with reduced police presence. This could significantly impact economic activity as well as critical resource availability in some locations. Uncertainties. While it is likely that this will be a similar nationwide cooling effect on policing as in the aftermath of Ferguson, the events are still developing and the reactions of the police and wider society are still unknown. For references for all of these stories, please see the video description. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Also, visit us at civintrep.com, where you can find these reports in text form and find RSS feeds so you can never miss an update. Finally, gentle viewer, stay informed, make good decisions, and have a wonderful day.